This is the morning after with Chris, and today I'm here with Brad, and we are going to talk about all the good, the bad, and the funny things about dating.
We are. Thank you for having me. Happy
Thanks
to
for
be
coming.
here.
How do you feel just given like your life right now, and how has dating changed over the years?
I think the biggest thing I've noticed is just availability. It seems like everybody's kind of next best option is at their fingertips. When you look at obviously starting with dating apps as being one thing and sliding into the DMs and that, it seems like your next there's always a constant
Instant
rotation.
gratification.
Yeah, it's very instant gratification, which can be, a good thing or a bad thing. It does open access to a lot more people, but at the same time, it opens up to a lot more competition, so to speak. And it also, it can cause a lot of problems, I think, in a lot of ways, because people never seem to establish like a level of happiness that they're willing to commit and
Content.
work on.
Yeah.
They're more inclined to find the next thing rather than put the effort into what's right in front of them right now.
Like, where do you usually go to meet people? If you're not online, like, where would you go?
Honestly, a lot of it I rely on through friends. Most of the people that I would say I've been on dates with in that recently has been through mutual contacts or friends of mine's wives, friends, that type of thing, somebody that they know. I do find that I fall victim a little bit to the constant wanting to set me up, which I'm flattered at, but at the same token, it puts a lot of undue pressure on things when they have an expectation of what the outcome's going to be. I might not even click with that person; they might not click with me.
Yeah.
But then the person who set us up is sitting there like just hopeful, wanting to be the, oh, I brought those two together. They want to tell the story at the wedding afterwards. But
Well, a good wedding story is always fun.
wedding stories are always good. You just have to be careful on what you let out of the bag, especially amongst like close friend groups. We've got a lot of, albeit funny, but things that maybe you don't want your relatives and aunts and uncles to hear.
Yeah. So I actually have a funny story about a wedding speech. I was the maid of honor in my best friend's wedding. She's actually not my best friend anymore.
Oh no.
I know. But I said in my wedding speech that these two should not be married. But here we are.
Is that why she's not your maid of or your friend
No,
any longer?
no. Everyone got over it. Nobody was upset about it. Everybody thought it was funny at the time. And then when they got divorced,
Oh boy.
it was like a big deal. And I was like, well. And then I have been the maid of honor in 7 weddings.
Wow.
And everybody has said, please don't say in your speech if you think we should be married or not. And I'm like, okay. But everybody, like, I've predicted it. And I don't think it's because of my job. Like, I think I can just tell.
Do you have like a crystal ball at home or a set of
no,
tea
I
leaves
think
or
it's
something?
just very clear.
Do you want to read my palm and
No,
tell me what's...
no. But if you were to meet a woman and you like brought her to me, I think I could say, I don't think this is gonna work.
The person who's best at that for sure is, and I know this is a total cliche, but my mom can pick it like
Yeah.
instantly. And I know a lot of guys' moms can, that it takes one interaction and they'll just be like, no, not for you.
Yeah.
And my mom has absolutely zero problem telling me that. Like she will be very cut to the point and be like,
I love that.
that's not it. So it's always kind of funny when, that's why I'm always a little bit more reserved to, take that step. Some people do it so quickly. Like it baffles me when someone's been dating somebody for 2 months and they'll turn around and be like, oh yeah, we're going to visit my family this weekend. Like,
Does that happen?
it doesn't happen with me. My family lives in Vancouver, so it's a little more, it's a little harder to have that. Now, that said, my mom's also coming this weekend to visit me for the first time in 8 years. So,
Oh, nice.
so maybe a little more so. That said, I don't have any intention on introducing anybody other than my close friends to her. But for me, that's like I feel like 6 months is a good benchmark to be like, okay, maybe now it's time to introduce
Yeah.
somebody to your family.
6 months is good.
6 months is a good spot. It's like it gives enough time for, you know, the what I would call the Sunday best, kind of like the best foot forward, to wear off, and you get more of the real authentic person. And I would say same with my friends. Like with myself, my friends are as close to me as relatives or siblings. So I'm really selective on who I bring in front of them. And generally I won't mention if I'm even seeing anybody in before, let's say, 3 months, before it actually becomes something. And it always makes me laugh because I've got a good buddy of mine. Sure enough, every time we get together, one of his first questions is just, so who do you like? And it becomes this ongoing thing, especially because I'm one of the last guys in our kind of close friend group that's, you know, unmarried.
What's your biggest deal breaker with dating?
I think recently one of the things I've come to realize, and it's happened more prevalently, which is probably why it's become more of a deal breaker, is people that are still in touch with their ex. It happens way too much. I've had several relationships or dating situations where, you know, someone's still talking to their ex actively, and it's like I can understand if, you know, you're not into this, but I can't battle against somebody's history, especially if it's a situation where somebody was poorly treated or cheated on or whatever, because that leaves all sorts of open stuff that they need to fix. And if they're still talking to their ex, they're never going to fix that. And for me, it's just one of those things that I'm like, if you're still going to talk to that person, if they're, you know, there's situations that could be a contrary to that. If somebody's recently separated, or, you know,
And they have kids, maybe.
Yeah, that type of situation where, of course, they have to co-parent with somebody, or they have to, you know, sort out, you know, remaining legal things or dividing assets and that type of stuff. Then that makes sense. Is it something that makes me feel great? Absolutely not.
No.
There's no way for that to feel good. I had a situation a few years ago, and oddly enough, I should have noted it early on. It would have been a major red flag. But I had this ex that I was dating, and I had dated her for, I think, like 8 months come the end of our relationship. And this was maybe about 2.5 months in. She had messaged me saying that she was heading home from whatever she was doing. This was like a Sunday night, and I was at home. I had to work the next day. So she then somehow met up with an ex of hers who had constantly been in contact. This was before I kind of drew the line on I'm not cool with that happening. And a few of my friends saw her out, that knew that we were dating, saw her out with this guy who was her ex. And she had always given me the line of, well, he's really good friends with my best friend. You just have to get used to it. Heaven forbid any female, whether I'd been involved with them or friends with them or whatever the standing of them, I was not allowed to have them around. But she had run into them, and they had kind of approached her about it and were like, hey, we're friends of Brad's. They hadn't ever met her before, but they knew what she looked like and knew that we were together. And it sent her on an absolute, like, spiral, because she was basically busted hanging out with her ex, and this was 2 months in. And I don't know why I didn't end it then. I should have, but I think I was too blinded by things and that. But it's so common.
Well, did you see her after that?
So oddly enough, it got worse because she panicked, and at probably about 2 a.m., when I woke up the next morning, my phone was on Do Not Disturb, because I was working. It was a Monday coming up, and at 2 a.m., it showed 27 missed calls from her number, because my friend had basically said, and I found this out afterwards, that he had said, you need to tell him or we're going to. And this wasn't long into a relationship. Like I said, it was only 8-10 weeks in. But so she had called with an excessive amount of like power dialing.
Oh, no.
And then when I did eventually call her back, I was like, is everything all right? I got my head torn off for not being there and not answering. So it was just not a
God.
great situation. So you
Yeah.
kind of got to, tiptoe a little bit with some people out there right now. There's a lot of people with unhealed things. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. None of my friends are perfect. Everyone's got their issues, but you just have to be kind of selective on how much
You share.
how much you share. I mean, I know everyone defaults back to the term trauma and people use it as a crutch and as an
Yeah.
excuse.
TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is everybody is basically in TikTok therapy.
Yeah.
I'm a huge proponent for people going to counseling and regular therapy sessions. I do
Or
it myself.
TikTok therapy.
I mean, I'd prefer somebody that's got maybe a degree or a
Yeah.
doctorate, but I mean, hell, if you've got 100,000 followers, by all means.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's something that everybody should do, especially, if you're actively dating and in that kind of what we would call in the arena, you kind of have to just to keep yourself on an even keel, manage your own shit so that you're in a
Capable.
yeah, well, and so that you're in a position where when the right thing does come along, you're a complete human being that you're not relying on somebody else to fill that extra hole.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you feel like your friends ever have to give you grief about your dating, or do you think you're aware of it yourself?
All the time. It's very easy to be unaware when you're in the middle of a situation. You get the rose-colored glasses. You get love blinders. You get kind of like, puppy love starstruck, and it's hard to sometimes look at things objectively and be like, this makes sense. I think as I've kind of gotten a little bit older, there's more of a logical approach where I used to be much more emotional. This is what my heart wants. This is what I go after. That's one element, and it's great to be like, that's what I want to chase. But at the same time now, like, I'm not looking to just date for the sake of dating. I'm looking for a partner, and there needs to be like logical assessment to it. Is this person share the same values as me? Do they have the same views on kids? Do they have the same views on money? What type of person are they going to be as a partner? Because a lot of people don't make that assessment, and then they get involved in a marriage and they realize it doesn't work. It might be 6-8 years down the road, and then now you've got the court involved, and it just gets really messy. So
Was there like an age where you switched off from the emotional side of it, or?
I'm going to say it was probably relatively recently.
Yeah.
If I was to pick a round number, I'd probably say around 35-ish.
Yeah.
As a guy, you sort of stop feeling like a playboy a little bit, and you start to chase things that actually have more. Yeah, take it more seriously. Chase things that have a little more longevity and less of a kind of fleeting moment.
Do you have any deal breakers?
Well, the X thing is for sure.
Yeah,
is for sure a deal breaker. I don't know if I'd call it a deal breaker, but I think independence is very undervalued. And I've always said to friends of mine, you want to be in a situation where, let's say you were on a work trip, and I mean, obviously working in the wine industry and that, there's some international travel and so on involved. And I've had trips to Italy and that, and I will extend them. And if I'm with somebody, I want to be able to be like, get yourself to Rome and I will meet you at this hotel, and be able to trust that person is adult enough and has their stuff, like, their footing together to be able to handle that travel and to meet me there without having to have their hand held. So, I mean, that's a big thing for me. As far as deal breakers, fidelity, like trust. And if you're going to step out of a relationship and pick somebody else, even if it's for a night or a moment, like it's done. And don't tell me, like, if you're going to just end it, because you telling me after it's happened, and it's happened to me a number of times where I've been cheated on, and somebody will turn around and be like, this is what's happened. I feel really bad about it, so on and so forth. they're only doing that to absolve themselves of their own guilt.
Yeah.
But now I have to live with the inadequacy for however long, and that's another thing that I have to unpack and heal from. And it's like, if you had just ended it, hadn't told me anything, this isn't working any longer, we're done. It takes half the time for me to heal from that.
And just given that, or like anything else that you've talked about, is there anything that you would, if you were to look back, what could you tell yourself? Like if you were 25, what could you say that would make yourself feel better about dating now?
I think it's very easy to get swayed by all the visuals of social media, and that's both men and women.
Yeah.
It's incredibly easy for men to look at Instagram models and have that perception and think that that's what's real, when 99% of the time it's not. It's also very easy for women to look at an incredibly lavish lifestyle and think that's what I want, when that's a tiny fraction of the population. I think the character thing is something that, if I was to look back at 25, like, trust that your character is where it's supposed to be, and that people are going to appreciate you for that. I've always said that amongst our friend group as well. I have some very successful friends, and I have some very blue collar friends, and nobody is regarded as better
Different.
or worse
Yeah.
because of that. Like, we all bring something to the table, and I think going that mentality from 25 onward would be building of so much more confidence when you're in your mid 20s, especially like as a guy. Your expectation is to provide, and at 25 years old, you don't have a lot of ability for provision. So to be able to lean on something about your quality of character and know that in time you'll get there, I think that's one thing. And just have the patience to know that eventually it's going to happen. I realize 15 years later it hasn't for me yet,
Yeah.
but
Well, do you think about that when you meet somebody? Like, do you think, am I going to be able to provide for this person or build a life? Like, what goes through your mind?
Sure, absolutely. And I think when I was touching on sort of that logical approach to things, you have to look at what somebody else's expectations are. If their expectations are incredibly lofty and you live by modest means or whatnot, then yeah, it's probably not going to be a fit.
Yeah. Do you ask? Or do you assume?
That's a tough one.
Assess.
There is ways. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that, because I remember being at a bar in Vancouver and I roundabout way tried to ask. In fairness, the girl that I was talking to was roundabout way trying to ask me. The first two questions she asked me were, "What do you do?" And the next question was, "What do you drive?"
Oh.
And my response was, "Honey, if you want to see a pay stub, just ask me." It's very hard to ask that question direct, like of any form of directness,
Yeah.
because it can come across as accusatory, and that's not what you want. Like, I mean, especially if that wasn't their intention, and you say, "Well, what's your expectation? Do you expect 4 seasons every time we travel?"
Yeah.
Or, a modest Airbnb, does that, work for you? It's tough, because you don't want to label somebody ahead of time. And it's definitely not something I would ever ask early, but I think you can, you spend enough time with someone and you'll feel it out, like very, very easily feel out what they're sort of.
Do you have a question that you would ask?
Yeah, I think I always sort
Or
of
a
look.
comment that you could hear and then you would know?
I think one of the questions I've asked several times is just, what's your stance on partnership? Like, is this kind of, we're in this together? Is there give and take, or is, like, that tends to open the door to the question of, what's your expectation of me as a potential partner? And then presumably it opens up the door for you to ask the same thing.
Right.
And everybody's going to have a different view. There's, especially when you look now and all the conversation about trad wife and all these other things,
Yeah.
some guys, that's for
That's
them.
their thing.
By all means. And if that's, what works for you, that's what works for you. But that might not work for everybody. And so
What's your thing?
I'm very much looking at it from a teammate standpoint. I want an equal. Like I want somebody who pulls their weight, both emotionally and I guess professionally, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
There's going to be situations in any partnership and in any, albeit marriage, inevitably, that there's going to be give and takes. I might lose my job at some point. You might lose your job at some point. When that happens, you want to be able to have the trust that the other person is going to pick up the slack. And this is going to sound so kitschy, but there's a song that I've already picked out as a wedding song. And it's the worst. I'm making myself sound like an emotional baby, but it's a song by Bruce Springsteen. And it's called If I Should Fall Behind. And the main lyric of it, a main sort of motif of the whole song is, I will wait for you. If I should fall behind, wait for me. And to me, it's just this sort of back and forth of what makes, inevitably a great partnership work. That it's not, okay, you lost your job, you're useless to me now.
Yeah.
Because anyone will know that like 95% of problems in relationships they
Are
all stem
money
from
related.
money.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, relationships are the thing that causes more people to go broke than anything else, be
It's
a
true.
divorce. So
Yeah.
So I mean, I've touched on a couple things with respect to what I'm looking for in a relationship. Do you find in your kind of line of work, like what do the expectations look like when people are coming to you professionally? Are people putting down a checklist, or
Some people do have a checklist and some people don't.
are they
And
long, or is it
some
just
are long, some are short. And honestly, the people who see the most success are the ones with the shortest checklists
and
because they're the most open to meeting. And then you can build your checklist from there.
do people come at it and like, I almost think it's like a real estate thing. Do they circle, these are my non-negotiables and these are things that I'm
everybody
a little
has
bit.
a non-negotiable.
So what do you find most in terms of like what people are identifying as non-negotiables?
Well, it varies. Usually it's about like family planning.
Yeah,
Some people,
makes sense.
I want to have kids. I haven't had them yet, or I don't want to be with somebody who has small kids. Things like that. I don't want to say issues because it's just like a life planning thing.
Does it vary significantly from men to women in terms of what those non-negotiables
No,
are?
I feel like it is very like even. It's the same.
Yeah.
There's either women who want to have kids and men who don't want to have more kids, basically. And how do they fit with each other?
So what about in the situation where, heaven forbid somebody can't have kids? Like what do people do in that situation?
Hey, let's use me as an example. I can't have more kids. I already have one. So I can't be, and I feel like I'm fairly young for a person who wouldn't have more children. So my age range in dating is younger than it should be because I'm young. I feel like I want to be with somebody who's young and vibrant, but people in my age range probably want to have kids. And I don't get the luxury of dating those people because I can't have more kids. So I have to really be open and be honest immediately because
Is there a threshold for men where they start to say, okay, now it's time, like I'm looking for a family?
no,
right
it's
now.
different for men too because they can be 50 and decide that they
Maybe
want to have kids
70.
and women
Oh.
can't. Right? So the range, I guess, and that's the amazing thing about dating and, being a woman. If you want to have a child and it's later in life, your options and age range are very open because it doesn't matter for a guy.
Yeah.
So people do look at that, and I think that's awesome. But if you're at a set age, like let's just say, like I'm 43, I prefer men that are like early 40s, my age, but I can't go for that because they're going for women in their 30s. They want to have children.
I mean, I know guys in their 40s that are going for women younger than their 30s even
Well,
too.
25,
Keep going.
20 below. And you know what? And why not? Because it doesn't matter to the women. If they can get a provider too, right? Like,
Sure.
they're open to
I
that.
had a friend of mine say to me once, you should do it while you can do it because there's a point in time when you're not going to be able to.
It's true.
And that was his
It's
approach
true.
to everything. But in this circumstance, it was specific to dating because you would look at it and be like, what's the cutoff for, how high or low you should go
Yeah.
age-wise? So,
Well, it varies person to person.
sure, maturity level to maturity level.
Yeah.
And I think it all depends on where people are in life, right? Like if somebody's ready to have kids tomorrow and you're sitting there thinking, I want, 4 or 5 years to travel and experience life with this person.
Well, then you shouldn't date.
Then there you go. Exactly. And sometimes those decisions are hard to come by because you have to
But those
let
are
go
the
of
ones
something
that have
you're
to
into.
come up right away because you need to know.
When we say right away, how early are we talking? Date one?
Well, do you plan on having a baby in a year or going on a vacation? You need to know, like,
But are we talking like first date? Are we talking?
that's like third date.
Okay. Well, you got to start touching on it at that point.
Kids, you do early. Vacation, no. But if you want to,
Like if I sat down to dinner on the third date and someone says to me, so are we having a kid this year?
yeah.
How quickly do you think I'm going to get up and
Like,
head
let's
for the
just
door?
say if people froze their eggs, like that's a big thing.
Sure.
And that's a conversation that comes up very early in dating. You want to know if somebody froze their eggs or
Yeah.
not. Let's say they didn't.
It could change the entire
How many
dynamic.
dates are you going to have? If they didn't freeze their eggs, you're not going to have that many dates.
No, if your expectation is looking for kids, 100% you're not going to continue on past that. You could be friends, but
Yeah.
it's a moot point if it doesn't.
But if she
fit
froze
in.
her eggs, that's a lot of vacations.
Yeah, both time wise and financial wise.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it costs, but I understand it's not the
It's
cheapest
expensive,
thing.
but you have more time.
Yeah. It
And
opens the door a
time
little bit.
is invaluable.
So is there a way that you, or I guess I could just say, is there a way that women will suss out sort of men's expectations kind of early on in dating? Are the questions you ask, or I don't want to call them tests, but everybody calls them tests. Like, I'm going to drop this little test to see how he responds, and that should give me the information. Is there certain tactics and questions that you guys ask?
I think there's one thing with matchmaking that I really appreciate is that it gets right to the point real quick. So if somebody does just want like a traditional relationship, it comes up right away. Like that's a preference and that's what we're matching for. So if somebody wants to just, have babies, stay at home, we know that right away. And if a guy is looking for a woman who wants the same, like he wants to work and he wants a wife that stays home, we know that right away. So it's not something we have to like fish for. We know immediately. So they're on a date together. We already know.
And this is people that you've set up.
Yeah.
Like, how
yeah.
would that come up naturally in the,
We
just
ask it immediately, like right away, day one.
what are your expectations?
Yeah.
What's your ideal vision for?
Will you be with someone who has kids? Do you want more kids? Do you want to stay at home with your kids? Like we ask it immediately.
Okay, so what if we put that in like a natural habitat? Like you're out at the bar.
That is natural habitat.
Okay, sorry, not natural habitat, but you know what I mean. Somebody's out at a bar or meet somebody at a barbecue or whatever it might be on the concourse at a Flames game. Something that's very unprompted. Like, how do people go about that to get that information out without seeming like they're, digging?
Well, it's really common for people to say like, do you have kids? Do you want kids? Like that comes up so naturally, so quickly.
I feel like that's an early question too.
Early question.
Like you don't even need to be on a date. That could be in
like
a group
natural
run-in.
conversation people ask. So if someone says, no, I don't have kids, it's easy for someone to say, oh, do you want them?
Easy transition.
Right? And then
How many do you want?
Yeah.
Do you want 2 boys,
Like
1
it's
girl?
so natural. But a lot of people won't think. They were not to ask those questions. But it is a very natural thing to ask.
Do you find that people get defensive when they've been asked
People
those questions?
do. Women do more so, I think, than men.
Around the kids question?
Yeah. Like it's almost implied that maybe they should have children by a certain age if they don't.
Yeah, I mean, in a
And then
traditional
men,
sense,
it's like no one thinks, oh, he doesn't have kids yet. But they may if he's like over 40.
that's something that's always kind of sat in the back of my head too. Is when people look and say, "Oh, well, why is that person unmarried at 40?" Or
What's wrong with you?
yeah, and it's very easy to quickly default to that, whether it be men or women. Like people and kids in the same conversation, people make their choices, right? Like you could choose to have a career that takes you around the world and you're just not in a position to settle to have a family, or someone works on Wall Street for that matter, and it takes up all their time. Like that, everybody lives a different kind of timeline.
It's true.
So I think one of the things is like, how do we get away from that? How do we get away from the vision of like, this is the timeline, this should happen at this point?
You got to be present in the moment.
Yeah, I would think so.
Because you don't, even like I thought I'd be married with like a bunch of kids. I just have one, he's perfect. But like the life I thought I would live is very different from the life I have. So you just don't know. But my life is great.
Exactly. So it might not be exactly what you had written down or, the storyboard on the wall of your high school bedroom.
Your vision board.
Your vision board. Oh, God, here we go.
Brad, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. It's been fun.